is taken from the lining of the
suitcase. They found that he was in a...
El perro identifica algún olor.
This footage shows Jennifer Talbot, a 43-year-old from Utah, cradling a baby who, according to the Philippines police, she was trying to smuggle out of the country. The baby, just 6 days old, had no travel documents. Talbot had hidden the baby in a sling, successfully clearing immigration without declaring the infant. However, airline staff became suspicious when they noticed the sling wasn't worn correctly, leading to her arrest.
Upright position, but then it was not carried that way. So there was really an intention to conceal and to sneak out the baby.
Talbot was charged with human trafficking and now faces a potential life sentence in the Philippines. Authorities discovered that she met the baby's biological mother, identified as Mary Chris Dulap, online. Dulap claimed she wanted to give the baby up for adoption. Still, both she and the unnamed biological father are now facing human trafficking charges as well.
Police, she wanted to offer her baby up for adoption, but now she is facing charges for human trafficking along with the unnamed biological father.
The baby has been handed over to welfare authorities. Talbot, who has 5 children of her own, is seeking help from the U.S. Embassy, which confirmed she has no criminal history in the U.S. However, this case could take years to resolve, and if convicted, she may spend her life in a Philippine prison.
But this case may take years to resolve. And you guys, if she's convicted, she faces a possible life sentence, which would be served in the Philippines, but it could take years for this to be resolved.
In a similar case, a 5-month-old baby was kidnapped and taken from Karachi to Dubai, hidden inside a carry bag. Luckily, the baby was discovered at Dubai airport and found unharmed. In 2018, a Colombian man stood out at Barcelona airport with an enormous wig that was hard to ignore. He thought he could trick airport security by hiding over a pound of cocaine worth $34,000 beneath his wig. Airport security quickly became suspicious, and then a brief search uncovered the hidden stash of cocaine skillfully concealed under his silly hairstyle.
The man tried to sweep a pound of cocaine under the rug. And by rug, we mean the one on his head, his toupee. Yeah, he stuck out like a sore thumb, so cops quickly arrested.
In 2010, at Suvarnabhumi Airport in Bangkok, a woman traveling to Iran thought she could outsmart airport security by hiding a 3-month-old tiger cub in her luggage. The cub, sedated and placed among stuffed toy tigers, was meant to blend in with the toys. She likely believed no one would notice the difference between the real tiger and the toys, but she was wrong. Airport security grew suspicious because of her suitcase's unusual weight and shape, leading to further inspection. Officers were shocked when they opened the suitcase and found the tiny tiger cub. The woman claimed she had no idea what was in her luggage, but authorities didn't believe her. She was arrested and faced Thailand's tough penalties for wildlife smuggling, which included heavy fines and possible prison time.
Anyone looking through it. The woman was arrested before boarding her flight. The cub, thought to be about 3 months old, has gone to a wildlife conservation centre in Bangkok.
In one of the strangest smuggling attempts ever, TSA agents at Fort Lauderdale Hollywood International Airport found something truly surprising: a handgun hidden inside a raw chicken. On September 27, 2022, a traveler heading to Port-au-Prince, Haiti, thought they could sneak a firearm past security by placing it inside a frozen baking hen. The gun was wrapped in plastic or paper and carefully tucked inside a Kikeri Quirch brand chicken. However, this plan didn't stand a chance against modern security measures. TSA agents quickly discovered the weapon during their routine screening.
Passenger busted for trying to conceal a gun from TSA in a really unsafe and unusual way. TSA posted a picture on Instagram of the weapon inside a raw.
It seemed like a regular morning at Los Angeles International Airport, until officers made a shocking discovery hidden in plain sight. A traveler casually tried to go through security while carrying candy bags, but what looked like harmless snacks were much more dangerous. Inside wrappers for Skittles, Whoppers, and Sweethearts were 12,000 fentanyl pills, one of the most potent synthetic opioids. The suspect quickly ran away before being caught, but authorities have identified the individual, and an investigation is underway.
The suspect tried to go through TSA screening with several bags of candy and snacks. The suspect got away before authorities could actually make an arrest.
At a Colombian airport, a woman on her way to Madrid, Spain, was stopped after airport security scanners detected suspicious objects hidden in her hairstyle. Authorities decided to detain her for a more detailed inspection.
Police say when both women went through airport security, scanners showed foreign objects hidden in their big hairstyles.
Security officers discovered a vial concealed in her hair extensions during the search. When they opened it and tested the contents, they found it contained cocaine.
When airport security officers discovered a vial hidden in the suspect's hair extensions. Its contents were tested on the spot, and police say it was determined to be cocaine.
Upon further inspection, more vials of the same substance were uncovered, all hidden within her hair.
When further searching revealed more tubes strategically attached to the woman's head. Colombian police say
this was far from a coincidence. At another Colombian airport, a second woman was caught smuggling the same type of drugs, using the same method, and also headed to Madrid, Spain, around the same time as the first. Both women, traveling to the same destination, were found carrying nearly 2 kilos of cocaine in total.
Women tried the same stunt at 2 different airports in the country and were both 2 kilos of cocaine from the women, who were both bound for Madrid.
At Gatwick Airport, a U.S. border agent grew suspicious of an elderly woman after noticing something unusual. She had changed her clothes right after passing through immigration, which raised a red flag. When questioned, the woman offered a weak excuse, saying she had just completed a long journey and wanted to change out of her wet clothes.
George carries out a routine search of the woman's bags.
The officer also noticed that she had taken her personal holder with her when she went to change, which is often used to hide items. He decided to scan the holder and its contents while also searching her suitcase. The scan revealed that her laptop seemed suspicious, as it didn't appear stable on the X-ray, unlike a normal laptop. This prompted further investigation of the device.
It looks like their hunch was right.
Their instincts proved correct. Behind the laptop screen, they found a hidden package that tested positive for cocaine.
What type of drug it is.
The reagent will turn blue if the substance is cocaine.
The woman remained surprisingly calm when confronted with the discovery. However, as she was being escorted away, her behavior became unsettling. She swore at the camera twice and even let out an eerie laugh.
If you do need us, just here to me. Just listen to me. Let us know if you need anything else.
Would you like to see the part of the block with the film, right? You want to see that?
The drugs weighed approximately 530 grams. It seemed whoever concealed the cocaine in the laptop had gone to some lengths to outsmart security. A 25-year-old British model was stopped by authorities at Jorge Chavez International Airport when he tried to board a flight with nearly 3 kilograms of cocaine hidden in his suitcase. The drugs were reportedly meant to be transported to London.
Se va a proceder con el deslacrado temporal y la apertura del equipaje de bodega.
During the search, officers discovered bags of cocaine concealed beneath Adam's suitcase. His expression showed clear surprise, as if he had no idea about the hidden drugs. One might even think someone had set him up.
Como podemos observar, tiene 2 kilos 933.
Following the discovery, Adam was arrested and charged with drug smuggling. He later admitted to the crime in court and was sentenced to 6 years and 8 months in prison.
Se va a hacer el registro corporal, ¿ya? Se puede poner de pie. Sáquense anillos, collares, correa. Aquí.
Video footage from an airport in England captures when officers grow suspicious of a passenger's behavior. The man's obvious nervousness prompts a female officer to approach him and ask several probing questions.
And from here, you're going back to Holland, are you? When are you going back to Holland? Is it a flight from here or a flight from Heathrow?
She asks him if he is carrying any illegal substances in his luggage.
No cigarettes at all, nothing like that. Okay, you also know it's illegal to bring any controlled drugs, weapons, explosives, etc. into the country, yeah? And these are your bags, are they? Did you pack your bags yourself? So you know what's...
The officer then takes his bags to be scanned for drugs or weapons, but the X-ray shows no hidden contraband. Still, she isn't convinced.
Sometimes we have a problem with people bringing drugs through on their bodies. Okay, so therefore we just want to give you a rub down of your body. Okay, but we won't do it here.
The man is taken for a full body scan to check if he might be hiding drugs on himself. The officer waits to see if her instincts are correct.
The other way, sorry. Yeah, if you stand like this, that way. Yeah? Just go up onto the top, onto travelator. If you can breathe in as well, that will help us.
Ready breathing?
Sure enough, the scan reveals multiple packages of what appear to be drugs concealed inside his body. The man is promptly arrested for drug smuggling.
You do not have to say anything, but it may harm your defence if you do not mention one question, something that you later rely on in court. Anything you do say may be given in evidence. Do you understand that?
The packages are removed and identified as cocaine, confirming the officer's initial suspicion.
A little bit for the packaging, etc. It's probably about 300 grams. 1 kilo nowadays is worth around £50,000. So he's probably...
The Federal Police's K9 unit was on a mission to track down narcotics at a well-known postal station inside Sao Paulo Airport. Their primary focus was inspecting packages bound for Europe, Africa, and the Middle East.
El perro identifica algún olor.
Cuando la Policía Federal empieza a buscar con mucha insistencia en la terminal de cargas, busca grandes cargas.
The officers brought in their trained sniffer dog and allowed it to search the packages. The dog quickly picked up the scent of drugs, prompting the police to zero in on a particular package. As they unwrapped it, they noticed a strange odor. Upon opening it further, they discovered traces of a controlled substance hidden inside.
¿Cree que estarán probando la ruta para ver si mandando una pequeña cantidad?
A career criminal who had been charged with murder less than a month earlier was sentenced to 22 years in prison after a brutal attack that left a woman permanently blinded in her right eye. The attack occurred at the Howard Beach JFK Airport Station on September 20th, 2022.
To everyone that never gave up on me or my case and tried to get the justice I needed, thank you. Thank you very much.
The assailant, 44-year-old Wahid Foster, still faces charges in the Bronx for allegedly strangling his girlfriend to death on August 6, 2022, for which he was charged in April of last year. Foster has a long history of violent offenses, dating back to his teenage years, including an incident where he beat his 82-year-old grandmother over money at the age of 14. In 2010, he also stabbed a woman in the face while at a mental institution. Due to the trauma from the assault at the subway station, the recent victim couldn't bring herself to face Foster in court. In a written statement, she expressed how the experience had caused immense emotional pain and memories she's struggling to forget. Foster remains held at Rikers Island without bail for the murder case and is scheduled to appear in court again on July 24th.
I'm scared. I try to overcome all the negative comments and try to be strong, especially for me and my children and the other women out there. Thank you very much.
An aircraft marshal stepped in to protect the flight crew after an unhappy group of passengers reacted poorly to an unexpected detour that caused the plane to land at a different airport. The marshal's presence helped ensure the safety and calm of the crew during this tense situation. A man carrying a loaded gun attempted to flee from TSA agents at a New York airport, but his escape was short-lived. A quick-acting security guard swiftly closed in on him and successfully tackled him, ending the pursuit. Newly released body cam footage reveals the arrest of former Syracuse basketball player Brendan Paul, accused of being a drug mule for hip-hop mogul P. Diddy. Paul was taken into custody on Monday at Miami Airport, where officers placed him in handcuffs. He now faces 2 serious felony charges. This arrest follows police raids on Diddy's homes in both Los Angeles and Miami, where authorities were investigating suspected illegal activities. According to reports, Paul was allegedly caught transporting illicit substances, including cocaine and marijuana. Colombian police released footage of when they arrested a 41-year-old Dominican man wanted by Spain under an Interpol red notice. The suspect, who is believed to be the leader of a major drug trafficking organization, was captured at Bogotá Airport. His arrest was part of an operation supported by Interpol and the El Pacto 2.0 program, which aims to combat organized crime in Latin America. The man is now facing serious charges related to his alleged role in the drug trade. Colombian authorities worked closely with international agencies to track down and detain him, marking a significant success in their ongoing efforts to tackle drug trafficking networks. Oceanside police have released footage showing how unusual behavior helped uncover drugs on a plane that made an emergency landing on SR-76. Both the passenger and the pilot were taken into custody, and the DEA is now involved in the investigation. In the video, the assistant chief explains the events that led to the discovery of the drugs. The police believe the suspicious actions of those on board prompted them to investigate further, resulting in this significant drug find. This incident highlights the ongoing efforts of law enforcement to combat drug trafficking in the area.
Approximately 1 kilo of suspected cocaine in the backpack that was discarded.
In Nigeria, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency uncovered illegal drugs hidden inside packs of cereal at Murtala Muhammad Airport in Lagos. Still in Nigeria, NDLEA officers discovered heroin and a drug named Loud hidden inside LED lamps. In a surprising event that made headlines, customs officers found a young boy hidden inside a leather suitcase at a Spanish airport. The suitcase belonged to a nervous 19-year-old woman who approached the customs checkpoint in Ceuta, a Spanish area in North Africa. During a routine scan, the officers noticed a strange shape inside the suitcase that looked like a person. Their suspicions grew, and they quickly opened the bag to find an 8-year-old boy named Abu carefully packed inside. He was from Ivory Coast and appeared upset, but surprisingly healthy. Abu's father, eager to be with his son, had paid the woman to smuggle him into Spain to escape the difficult life in their home country. After the boy was discovered, his father, who was waiting anxiously at the border, was arrested.
They found that he was in a terrible state. He was carried by a 19-year-old woman who reportedly got paid to smuggle him. The boy's father, who lived...
Back in Nigeria, 2 elderly suspects were caught at Lagos Airport after they passed a total of 150 wraps of cocaine. Officers from the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency arrested the passengers as they were about to board a Qatar Airways flight to Doha at Terminal 2 of Murtala Muhammad International Airport on Friday, June 21st.
41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55.
NDLEA spokesman Femi Baba Femi shared the news that one of the suspects, identified as Ikomun Daniel, excreted 90 wraps of cocaine, weighing about 1.022 kilos, over 6 times. Meanwhile, the second Ayigoro Wahid Omobolaji passed 60 wraps of the same drug, weighing 662 grams, in 5 separate instances. Further investigation revealed that Ikomun Daniel had stolen the identity of his deceased uncle, who once lived in Germany. He did this to obtain a Schengen visa, hoping it would give him easy European access. At the same time, his real name is Oladapo Olanrewaju. At Lagos Airport, the NDLEA has seized cocaine hidden inside T-shirts. On December 18th at Chennai Airport, a sniffer dog named Oreo detected drugs in the checked baggage of a Ugandan passenger. This led to the recovery of 1,542 grams of methaqualone and 644 grams of heroin, with a total value of 5.35 crores. A man was caught trying to smuggle $210,000 worth of cocaine. When customs officers looked inside his bag, they noticed a white, powdery substance. Given that it came from Colombia, it was highly likely that it was cocaine. The passenger's story about how he got the bag raised even more suspicions. He claimed he picked it up in Colombia after his other bag fell apart. While officials inspected the case further, the passenger made an unusual request: to call his wife.
The passenger has an unusual request.
Your wife? Okay. He wants to contact his wife.
He seemed anxious, but he wouldn't be making calls anytime soon. The officers suspected he was involved in drug trafficking, so they took him to a private room for questioning. While talking to him, they received concerning information that he may not have traveled alone. He and another passenger, who shared his last name and had similar travel routes, had arrived from Colombia. Officers decided to search the second passenger's bag to see if she was hiding drugs too. When questioned, she mentioned she had 3 children. Still, she left them at home because her mother was very sick and needed dialysis. As the female passenger was being questioned, officers took a sample from the lining of the male passenger's suitcase to test for illegal substances. Surprisingly, the initial test returned negative, but they wanted to check further.
Yeah, what's going on? Any associated trouble?
It appears the passenger may not have been traveling alone, and his companion has...
They drilled a small hole into the suitcase and discovered a thick, wet paste at the bottom, which they believed was illegal. This paste was carefully concealed in plastic. Using special technology, they tested the substance while also X-raying the woman's suitcase to check for hidden drugs. Her bag appeared to be clear, which was good news for her. However, the male passenger was not so fortunate. The tests confirmed that the substance in his suitcase was cocaine.
It's taken from the lining of the male passenger's suitcase. The test will reveal if there are any traces of illicit substances.
The Australian Federal Police were called in to take over the investigation. While examining the female passenger's suitcase, officers noticed the female passenger had bottles of liquid that looked similar to the paste in his bag. The paste was not a powder, it was a gel-like substance. After a thorough investigation, officers confirmed that the female passenger was not involved in any drug smuggling and was free to leave. The male passenger's suitcase containing the cocaine was confiscated, and he was taken into custody by the authorities.
First offender laser technology should give a highly accurate reading of what the substance is.
All right, see if it comes up.
And while
Border Force officers in Brisbane were alerted to the arrival of a U.S. citizen flying in from Los Angeles. He became a person of interest because his previous travel companions had been intercepted in the U.S. with narcotics while trying to leave the country. During questioning, the man seemed nervous and shaky, which concerned officers. He explained that he was supposed to be in Melbourne, but was rerouted to Brisbane. His jittery behavior raised more suspicion. When officers asked if he was feeling okay, he attributed his shakiness to anxiety and stress, claiming he had PTSD. Despite offering him a chair and some comfort, the officers noticed his unusual behavior, prompting them to conduct a more thorough investigation.
So I have PTSD, so it's kind of like, it's good. Everything's good.
Okay. So you need to take any medication or anything like that?
I haven't taken any, no.
Do you need to take some?
No, I don't.
You sure?
The officers carried out a swab test to check for traces of drugs. When asked if he had ever used drugs, the man admitted to using methamphetamine 3 days prior. This led the officers to ask if he was currently carrying any drugs. At first, he hesitated, but eventually confessed to having drugs on his body, specifically methamphetamine hidden in his crotch area and internally. Realizing the seriousness of the situation, the officers cautioned him and called in the Australian Federal Police. The man's distress grew as the reality of the situation hit him, and he became more upset.
Down in evidence. Do you understand that? Okay. Christopher, the drugs you have on your person, are they on your body? Are they internally? Or okay.
Officers searched his bags, but their primary concern now was the potential health risks of the drugs he was carrying internally. There was a genuine fear that the narcotics could rupture inside him, posing a life-threatening situation. A detector dog confirmed the presence of narcotics, and the man admitted he was carrying approximately 2 ounces of drugs. He claimed they were for personal use and not for distribution. He explained that he had visited Australia to meet a woman online. Still, officers would need to verify this information.
How much do you have? Ounces? How many ounces? 6.5?
Yeah.
With his health at risk, an ambulance was called, but the man hesitated to consent to a medical examination. Despite his fear and uncertainty, the officers emphasized the urgency of the situation, explaining that the drugs inside him needed to be safely removed to avoid a medical emergency. After much hesitation, he finally agreed to the examination, and the officers handed the case to the Australian Federal Police. The passenger's belongings were seized, and he was taken to the hospital for medical care. Officers were particularly concerned because the drugs had been inside him for over 16 hours. Thankfully, the drugs were recovered, and he was sentenced to 5 years imprisonment.
Because by what we can understand is he actually put it into himself prior to leaving LA, so it's about 16, 17 hours. So they're really keen to get involved.
At Gimhae Airport, a South African woman was detained for attempting to enter South Korea with marijuana. She allegedly fled South Africa on October 12th. She was discovered in possession of 18 kilos of the narcotic, which is prohibited there, according to the authorities. The estimated value of the marijuana is $1.6 million. The individual she meant to sell the drugs to is currently being sought by the prosecution.
From South Africa on October 12th, she was caught smuggling 18 kilograms of the substance that's illegal in the nation. It will be worth around $1.6 million.
Customs officers at Indira Gandhi International Airport in New Delhi detained 2 Indian nationals found with 45 firearms. According to the National Security Guard, a counter-terrorism unit investigating the case, the weapons appear fully functional. The Customs Department intercepted a diplomatic parcel at the UAE consulate in Kerala, discovering gold concealed inside iron pipes.
Show that.
A traveler named Paul finds himself in a tough spot as customs officers discover suspicious packages hidden in his luggage, which are about to be x-rayed. When asked, Paul explains that a friend packed the bag, not him. He mentions placing his clothing on his bed, but his friend hid something at the bottom. The X-ray reveals dense organic material inside the statues in his suitcase, which test positive for traces of cocaine.
You can smell the paint on it. Where's the concealment? Where did you get the statues from?
Precious statues were packed.
The customs team was sorting through leftover bags that passengers had abandoned when an officer came across a bag filled with coffee beans, but noticed something odd. The coffee looks normal initially, but he finds something unusual. White powder inside the beans when he opens it. Coffee should be brown, not white.
When passengers leave bags, we gotta go through them, make sure there's nothing illegal.
Depending on the day, you can get...
As they continue cutting open more of the beans, they discover that the white substance is present throughout. The officer remains cautious, knowing they must test the material to confirm what it is. After running the test, it came back positive for cocaine hydrochloride, pure cocaine with no other substances mixed in. The officers then weigh the cocaine, and it's a total of 3.51 kilos.
Well, coffee is supposed to be brown, right? Coffee is not.
6 people were detained by the Chennai Airport Customs Department in less than 2 days for trying to smuggle gold and foreign currencies into India. Illegal guns were found concealed inside a speaker that was being transported to Trinidad by CBP authorities. The officers searched and discovered multiple handguns, a magazine holding 30 rounds, and what looked to be a miniature AK-47. Accessories such as grips were also included with the weapons. Although smugglers frequently use false identities, the officers are unsure of the intended receiver, but this was a successful bust.
I appreciate you carrying the heavy stuff. So when it comes to firearms...
At Perth International Airport in Australia, 2 Japanese men were detained while trying to transport 13 bobtail lizards. The 2 males, ages 28 and 51, received prison sentences after being found guilty. Just before the guys boarded separate aircraft, one to Singapore and the other to Kuala Lumpur, Australian Border Force personnel stopped them. The huge lizards were the questionable things that an X-ray of the 51-year-old's bag revealed. It came to light in court that the older man was acting as a courier for the younger man who had gathered the lizards. Customs authorities found more than half a ton of narcotics at Istanbul airport. This 568 kilo of drugs worth 68 million Turkish liras were taken into custody. This video shows a tragic incident from 2021 when an Ecuadorian drug mule, Zambrano Xavier Fernando Lor, tragically died after 2 drug-filled capsules he had swallowed burst inside his stomach. The 45-year-old had just arrived at Istanbul airport from Madrid carrying 400 grams of narcotics. The rupture of the capsules led to severe internal poisoning, resulting in his agonizing death. This video was captured when customs officials at Mumbai International Airport seized 481 grams of gold from a woman who had just arrived from Dubai on December 28, 2020. In this last video, Customs and Border Protection officers were seen preparing to remove drugs that had been tightly packed into 4 tires of an 18-wheeler truck. The substance felt very dense, almost like a brick, indicating there was something inside. The only way to retrieve the drugs was to cut the tires open. This complex process required much effort, so they hoped to open them carefully without damaging the contents.
Wow. It feels like a brick. There's something loose about it. Well, of course, that creates a fair amount of density. Cutting it.
The truck was carrying a hefty 240 pounds of marijuana hidden in its tires. While investigating, CBP officers began to question the driver. He explained that he was just doing his usual routine, checking the oil and water, and planning to make his delivery. He mentioned the name of the company he worked for and shared a bit about his family, saying he had 3 children aged 18, 17, and 10, and his wife worked harder than he did.